So right now, all eyes are on Los Angeles, California, and rightfully so. We have never seen anything like what's unfolding out there, and it truly is disturbing. And I think everyone needs to stay on top of that story and continue to report on it, continue to call it out, and stand up against this authoritarian regime that we're now under. But there's also a whole lot of stuff going on right now that we do need to stay focused on as well. A lot of people will say, and I'm guilty of saying this myself, like, well, are we being distracted by things? Are they doing this to distract us from that? And the truth is, like my good buddy Brett Micella said in a tweet, Trump just does a whole lot of shitty things at once. And so when he does, it can definitely come off feeling like that they're trying to distract. But in reality, when you have Donald Trump and then this cabinet of absolute clowns who are in there to just absolutely dismantle everything that he put them in charge of, then you're going to have a whole lot of things going on at one time. And so we have to learn how to react to all of it at one time. And it's going to be a full-time job, but we will get through it. I'm going to read you this article here from Politico because this was a pretty disturbing headline that came to my attention. As a matter of fact, anytime I hear the name RFK Jr., I know that nothing good ever follows that. I have never seen any headline with his name in it where anything good followed, and that's definitely the case with this story. So I want to thank everyone for supporting me here on the channel as we cruise toward 800,000 subscribers, and we're on the road to 1 million. So if you haven't already, be sure and hit that button. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. But here it is, folks. This is from Politico. RFK Jr. to fire all members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. Now, he's doing this after he said that he wouldn't do it, but since when have we ever been supposed to believe this guy? So, the Health Secretary, RFK Jr., plans to fire all 17 members of the panel that advises the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on vaccines, he said Monday. The committee has been plagued with persistent conflicts of interest and has become little more than a rubber stamp for any vaccine, Kennedy wrote in an opinion piece published in the Wall Street Journal. He wrote that the decision is meant to restore faith in vaccines. Nearly 2 hours after Kennedy's column was published, members of the panel received termination notices from the CDC, according to a copy of the emails seen by Politico. Per the June 9th, 2025 directive from the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, this email serves as a formal notice of your immediate termination as a member of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, the notice reads. ACIP votes on updates to the CDC's vaccine schedule. The CDC director has the power to overrule those recommendations, but rarely does. Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic, will now be able to select replacements for all members who usually serve four-year terms. So, folks, stop and think about this one just for a minute. RFK Jr. is going to make the decision as to who steps in to do this, and we all know how he feels about vaccines. This truly is disturbing, but let's keep reading. The committee, which is scheduled to meet from June 25th through the 27th to consider several recommendations, will still meet then, but with new members at HHS, an HHS spokesperson told Politico. Kennedy's decision marks one of the most aggressive moves to date to overhaul how the government makes decisions about vaccines. He cited putting the restoration of public trust above any pro or anti-vaccine agenda. Folks, there's no way that you could ever regain public trust with RFK Jr. In a position like this. The decision also seemed to buck promises that he made Senator Bill Cassidy, the chair of Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, to win confirmation as HHS Secretary. Kennedy told Cassidy that he would maintain the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Advisory Committee on practices without changes. Cassidy pushed back on the decision, writing on X, "Of course, now the fear is that the ACIP will be filled up with people who know nothing about vaccines except suspicion. I've just spoken with Secretary Kennedy, and I'll continue to talk with him to ensure that this is not the case." Cassidy told reporters at the Capitol that he spoke with Kennedy twice on Monday and that the assurance he'd won from the now secretary to win his confirmation vote concerned ACIP process rather than membership. The HHS spokesperson said the department made standard congressional notifications about the decision to fire the board members. Even so, Senator Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine, a member of the Help Committee and Appropriations Chair, was taken by surprise when asked about the move. I did not know that that had happened. It must have been very recent. I don't know who serves on those committees, but it seems to be excessive to ask for everybody's resignation, Collins told reporters. So Politico first posted in February that Kennedy was considering placing some of the panel members with his own selections. Public health experts were swift to express their concerns. Caitlin, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, who is a epidemiologist. She said, "This is absolutely unprecedented. RFK Jr. has many levers at his disposal to influence vaccine policy in the U.S., each with varying degrees of impact, but this move is a red alert level for alarm." And Dr. Paul Offit, a former ACIP member and director of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia Vaccine Education Center, said the panel's recommendations have yielded significant public health wins, such as nearly eliminating or substantially decreasing hospitalization of babies with illnesses caused by rotavirus and respiratory virus. Can we trust an ACIP of people that RFK Jr. Deems adequate to make decisions, said Offit. The end result of all this is chaos and distrust. And folks, I'm just going to stop right there on that note. If RFK Jr. is the one making this decision, a guy who has said in the past that there's no such thing as a safe vaccine, then I truly do believe that we should be worried. And I truly do believe that we should listen to doctors on this one and not someone like RFK Jr. So I'm going to play you this clip from Vin Gupta, who is telling us why that parents should be concerned about this. Take a look.
So, Dr. Gupta, how concerned or worried should parents and pediatricians be about the future access, availability, and approval of vaccines that are critical to children's health, as well as adults?
Mike, they should be worried. And unfortunately, until we start to see a different way for insurance companies to think about a different framework, Mike, in terms of how they cover vaccines, new vaccines, boosters, because right now it is heavily dependent on what Kennedy is hollowing out. ACIP, CDC, FDA recommendations that he has complete control over. He has a lot of authority and power. He is exercising it irresponsibly. But until insurance companies say, you know what, we're going to think about this differently, because, by the way, prevention is cheaper. They think about the bottom line, unfortunately. Prevention is cheaper than caring for a child in the hospital. That's how they're going to think about it. And in this case, they need to be thinking about the benefits of prevention, a political view on evidence. And we need to have a framework here that has not existed in decades, which is them ignoring fundamentally what is coming out of HHS. Mike, unless we see that start to happen, and I suspect we will, if we do not see that start to happen, access is going to be significantly hampered.
You know, folks, I do understand that there is a lot of distrust in doctors and in medicine. I totally get it. I've said many times here on the channel that I'm not a fan of shots. I really don't know anyone who just absolutely loves them. We all are skeptics from time to time, and a lot of people have lost faith in medicine and in doctors, and I totally get it. But to turn and then say RFK Jr. is the one I'm going to listen to on this, that's the most ridiculous thing to me. I've said to people many times, if you don't like what your doctor says or don't trust what your doctor says, go get a second opinion. But when you get a second opinion, make sure that you get an informed opinion, make sure that you get an educated opinion, and not from some crackpot conspiracy theorist who a billionaire grifter put in charge. It's absolutely crazy to me. I can understand people not trusting things, but to turn and put your faith in someone like RFK Jr. to me just shows how far we truly have fallen as a country. If people would be willing to turn and put their health in a man like his hands, I will never understand it. Again, I can understand, having your doubts or being a skeptic, but to turn to someone who has absolutely no experience in any of these fields, someone who just sits and reads shit online and posts it as though it's facts. The guy has been debunked time and time and time again. Is probably the most least qualified and probably the most crazy pick out of all of Trump's cabinet picks. And I don't know, a lot of them are up for debate as to who would be on the Mount Rushmore of the most ridiculous picks that Trump made. RFK Jr. has got to be number one to me because, like I always say, this concerns our health. And our health should never be political, but now, unfortunately, it is. And we've got people who are willing to listen to the likes of RFK Jr. And so many people have become radicalized after the pandemic. So many people have lost trust because of misinformation that people like RFK Jr. Put out into the world, because of the misinformation that bro podcasters set and pumped out into the world. It's one thing to sit back and have conversations about things. But to sit and have conversations with people who have been barred for doing their job because they weren't doing their job correctly, to bring those people on, give those people the microphone, spread every conspiracy theory you can during a global pandemic, I just think is some of the most reckless actions that one could take, and it truly was reckless. During the pandemic, so many people were thinking they were experts and letting people like RFK Jr. talk, and then if we tried to combat it with common sense or logic or facts, we got met with we was trying to silence them, and we were all out to get them. That's the easiest thing that you could ever do, by the way. You could easily say, hey, they are trying to silence me, so now I'm going to come out here with my opinion, and my opinion is fact now because they are trying to silence me. It's the easiest out that any of them could ever have. And so, yeah, RFK Jr. has always been the most disturbing one to me. He is the one that I was really sitting back hoping something would happen, that he wouldn't get picked. But after promising to not do this, he's doing this. So he lied to Congress straight up. Nothing will probably happen to him for that. That's okay. It's just crazy to me how that people continues to let this guy who knows nothing about what he's talking about be the voice of authority on this one. So I know right now we're focused on so much. There is so much going on at one time. Everything going on in Los Angeles, everything happening with Elon and Trump, everything happening with the great big beautiful bill. There is just so much going on. They are flooding the zone. They are distracting. They are creating chaos. They are manufacturing crisis. They're doing all of those things. And while all of those things are happening, there's stories like this breaking. And so a lot of times, I will say to my friends that help me out with this stuff, I'll say, hey, let's keep diving in. Let's keep digging for other stories, because I know that a lot of the stories are coming to the top and we're talking about those, but there's so much stuff like this going on day in and day out that we need to stay focused on, and we will here on the channel. I truly do appreciate all of your support, and all I can say is take care of yourself and stay as healthy as you can these days. But that's going to be a full-time job if someone like RFK Jr. is in charge.